Welcome to the New Orleans Saints podcast, presented by Rouse's Markets. You'll hear from players, coaches, broadcasters, and writers that cover the NFL daily. The New Orleans Saints podcast starts right now. Here's your host, Erin Summers.
Welcome into the New Orleans Saints podcast. Erin Summers here. The Saints have wrapped up practice ahead of their Sunday matchup against the Patriots, and head coach Kellen Moore confirmed that defensive end Chase Young, who returned to the practice field this week, will make his season debut on Sunday. Really good news for Young, who's been dealing with a calf injury.
Yeah, Chase has just done so much. You're so happy to see him out on the field. He deserves it. He's earned it. Nothing's been easy on this path for him, and so he's had an excellent week of practice. He's done an excellent job, and certainly there'll be some juice and excitement for him just to get out there. I think it'll bring all the other guys a little more juice as well.
Defensive lineman John Ridgeway and running back Alvin Kamara are the only other players listed as questionable. Talking to Kamara yesterday in the locker room, he said he was good. He had something that popped up with that ankle in the game last Sunday against the Giants, and it was just bothering him, was a little stiff on Wednesday. So he's been a little bit limited at practice, but I mean, he said he was good, so hopefully that is the case on Sunday. Cornerback Isaac Gadum is the only player who has been ruled out for the matchup Sunday. He is dealing with a hamstring injury, which means Quincy Riley will again step in at cornerback. For today's podcast, I sat down with ESPN NFL Nation reporter for the Patriots, Mike Reiss, and two representatives from the Louisiana Children's Museum to discuss how this week's 50-50 raffle will benefit the museum. Let's kick it off first with the preview of the Pats with Mike. Mike, thank you once again for joining me on the New Orleans Saints podcast. We have had you in the past because we've had a couple matchups with the Patriots. This time, the Patriots coming in off maybe a little different mojo, beating the Bills last weekend. But how are you? And then tell me, how are things there around the team?
Erin, I'm doing great. It's great to be with you. First thing I looked at this week was, when was the last time we were down there in Louisiana for a game? 2017. And I remember it well. It's always great coming down, and so looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And I would say, to answer your question, after that Bills game, wow. Like, that sort of has changed a little bit of the conversation around the Patriots.
Coming off of that week, how have they moved on from that victory and kind of settled into their preparations here for the Saints?
So that's been the theme. Like, it's a mental week for them. Everyone. So I'll give you two. So Monday, they talk about the Bills game and break it down. Wednesday, when we're in at the facility and someone wanted to ask about the Bills game, they wouldn't. I won't say they wouldn't talk about it, but they would respectfully deflect. And there was a fun little back and forth with one player, Jalen Hawkins, who was asked about, "Hey, you guys had the underdog mindset last week against the Bills. Has that changed this week?" And his answer was, we're on to the next. And then he said, that was last week. We're game planning for the Saints. We're thinking about the Saints. It's all about the Saints. And then someone said, which team you playing? He said, the Saints. And then someone said, who dat? Saints. So it was just like, sort of like the old Bill Belichick theme. We're on to Cincinnati. We're on to the Saints.
Yeah, well, I do want to go back to that Bills game because I think we saw a lot of different things from this Patriots offense and defense, with the way that Drake May was able to lead the team down the very last few seconds to a victory, and then the takeaways that we saw from the defense as well. So starting with quarterback Drake May, he's in his second season now. How has he come off as maybe different, more in command?
Erin, he was incredible in the second half of that game against the Bills. So I think that was a breakthrough for him. We had not seen him in those situations and elevating the players around him. So that was a big change just from the last week to this week. I would say another change. He's a captain this year. Last year at this time, he was subservient to Jacoby Brissett, who is the veteran in the room. They've really sort of positioned him to let himself grow as a leader of the team. So he seems more confident, more assertive, and he's still young. He's 23 years old, but I think he's much more comfortable in the locker room setting, having been through it, for a year. And I sort of relate it to people listening to this who are Saints fans. I mean, not dissimilar to probably Spencer Rattler, who's in his second year, right, has been through it here, and the rookie who is going to be coming up the ranks and is hopefully the quarterback of the future, right?
Yeah, it is interesting. Spencer Rattler has come in, and everyone in the locker room has said he doesn't seem like a young quarterback. He never really has. He's always kind of had that air of confidence about him and kind of that veteran presence. When you look at somebody like Stephon Diggs, who clearly had a lot riding on that game against Buffalo in Buffalo, clear revenge game, but he has had now back-to-back games over 100 receiving yards. What should we expect? I mean, is that something that is going to continue?
So this it's a historically fast recovery from torn ACL. Think about this. October 27th, I believe, was the date. Last year, he
Okay,
tore his
yeah.
right ACL. I mean, here we are.
Yeah.
We're looking at October 12th for this game, right? And you're talking about the back-to-back 100-yard game. So he's been back and really looks like almost maybe even better than he was before
Hmm.
the ACL. He was motivated, you're right, for the Bills game. But even the week before, like you said, they played Carolina, team that everyone down there knows well from being in the division, and he had 6 for 101 in that game. So I think what we're seeing from him is a lot of leadership, a lot of, hey, I've been around, I know what it takes, come follow me. And in the locker room, there's Drake's locker, there's the backup quarterback, Joshua Dobbs, and then there's Stephon Diggs' locker. And so you see the connection there. Drake, the young quarterback, Stephon Diggs, the veteran receiver, and the chemistry really growing on the field, like we've seen the last 2 weeks, but off the field as well.
Hmm. Kayshon Boutte, somebody that people down here are also very familiar with, obviously coming from LSU. It seems like he's been getting more involved in the offense. How has his role evolved?
Erin, this is an awesome story that I think is really unexpected in a lot of ways. So you all know, 6th-round pick 3 years ago. Probably could have been a higher pick based on the talent, but ended up going in the 6th. Think about it. They've had 3 different coaching staffs in his time in New England. Bill Belichick, his final year, Gerard Mayo in his 1 year, and now Mike Vrabel in this staff. And long story short, Kayshon came to the spring part of the year, the voluntary part, and probably wasn't in the best shape for what they were looking for. And they told him, they said, here's what we're looking for. And he really had a decision to make, Aaron. Like, how's this going to go? Am I going to buy in or not? And man, he bought in and he came back for training camp. And he's probably been their most consistent receiver. And I don't think anyone, talk to anyone at the start of training camp, could have projected that Kayshon Boutte would be one, the most consistent, but the receivers coach Todd Downing talks about how proud he is of him for that, for buying in and really investing in what they're doing here. He's played more than any other receiver. Like I said, consistent, steady. Really on the backside, you'll see him. So really a great story about a player that probably could have chosen one of 2 paths here this year. The
Hmm.
career could have gone one or 2 directions, and now I really think it's heading up. And there's really the sky is the limit, for lack of a better term.
Oh, I'm sure there are a lot of people that are definitely cheering for his success. Maybe not necessarily this upcoming Sunday, but
That's right.
yes, in the future.
That's right. That's right.
With Ramondre Stevenson and the issues that he's had with the fumbles this season, where does he stand right now on that? And what's the concern around the turning the ball over? Because he's still extremely effective when he does have the ball.
So high level of concern. He had 2 lost fumbles week 3 against the Steelers, cleaned it up the next week against the Panthers, but in a limited role. They reduced his snaps, and then has the lost fumble last week against the Bills. So the same problem resurfaces. Just got to have 2 hands on the ball, Aaron. It's the old Patriots running backs would tell me, double in trouble. When you're in trouble, get double, 2 hands, and the Patriots are in a little bit of a tough spot in the sense of they have Ramondre Stevenson, they have Travion Henderson, rookie out of Ohio State, their 2nd-round pick. Their 3rd running back, who maybe would have taken some of Ramondre Stevenson's carries and snaps, Antonio Gibson, tore his ACL last week. So he's out. So they only have 2 backs on the active roster right now. So they're riding with Ramondre. They'll probably elevate Terrell Jennings from the practice squad as a 3rd option. But if you're the Saints defense, you're Brandon Staley, you're not doing your job, Erin, if you don't put the tape on and show them the 3 fumbles and other plays that maybe he didn't fumble where the ball security maybe wasn't tight. You're telling your defense, go after that ball. And until Ramondre Stevenson puts that fire out, for lack of better term, that's what Mike Reiss says, got to put that fire out. Team's going to keep coming after that ball.
Yeah, and last week the Saints had 5 takeaways, several fumble recoveries, 2 forced fumbles. Last week also, Patriots forced 3 takeaways of their own. So, I mean, you would like to say that it's a repeat. You want to continue to win those turnover battles, but what can we expect from both sides here?
Definitely. Well, as you said that, Erin, my first thought was I'm thinking about my old friend Devon Godchow, who I love seeing in the Patriots locker room with his fashionable clothes
Uh-huh.
and his great personality. This got to be personal a little bit for him, right? Like let's get after it, right? So I was thinking about that. I was thinking about Will Campbell coming back. Talked to him in the locker room this week, and he said going back to Louisiana, where he's from, said he's going to have a whole bunch of family and friends there. So thinking about some of the storylines in the game, I think it's going to be a great game. I
Mhm.
know the Saints at 1-4, building something in Kellen Moore's first year, maybe not where they want to be right now, but I would think they're going to play tough and play fast. I think the Patriots maybe have more talent right now across the board. So I think the Patriots probably favored to win, but we've been around long enough to know, like, if you don't bring it, like, anyone can beat anyone on any
Mhm.
day. And I think from a Patriots standpoint, coming off an environment in Buffalo that was absolutely electric, I can't imagine it's going to be as electric. I could be wrong, but they're going to have to raise their level up. It was easy to raise it up, Aaron, last
Yeah.
week. Like, they're going to have to raise it up a little bit, and let's see how it unfolds.
Yeah. One thing that stands out to me about the defense, though, is how good they are against the run versus the struggles that they've had in the passing game. They're 26th in the NFL against the pass. How much have teams been attacking them based off of that? I'd assume that the Saints are really tried to beat them over the top a few times.
It's been interesting to me, Aaron, because the numbers suggest the Patriots are a really good run defense. And through the first 4 weeks of the season, I was wondering if the numbers were telling the truth in the sense of teams were having more success passing against them, so they didn't necessarily pound the rock against them and really test them. Last week changed my opinion a little bit because I thought they did a really good job against the Bills and James Cook and a big
Mm-hmm.
offensive line. Um, and it was the scheme that they ran was a little bit different than we've seen. So I think if we really want to get deep into the X's and O's of this game, I'm curious what scheme they want to run defensively to take away the run, and will that leave them potentially vulnerable for the pass?
Mm-hmm.
Or vice versa? Will they play more the pass, dare the Saints to run a little bit, and see how they manage that sort of push and pull?
The other thing I got to ask about is special teams here because only team now that has had a kickoff and a punt return for a touchdown. So what's been working?
All right. Great question. And also had a rookie kicker who kicked the 52-yard
Yep.
game winner with 15 seconds left. So the special teams, they have 2 excellent coaches, Jeremy Springer and Tom Quinn. But what those coaches will tell you is it's about the players, right? Executing. So punt return wise, Saints fans can expect one of the best punt returners in the NFL in Marcus Jones. He's a 4th-year player out of the University of Houston. He was actually a first team All Pro as a rookie. He's a slot corner, smaller guy, but man, he's fearless and really dynamic when he has the ball in his hands. So that's the punt return game. The kick return touchdown was by Antonio Gibson, who is on injured
Mm.
reserve with the knee injury. But they do have Travion Henderson, the rookie out of Ohio State, who's really fast, and a little bit of a mystery in who's going to join him back there with Antonio Gibson not there. But they scheme it up pretty well. And I'm sure you guys have talked about this down there. The new kickoff rules
Yeah.
have created a lot more opportunity on these type of plays.
Yeah. All right. You've been in the locker room. You've been talking to the players, the coaches. What are they keyed in on against the Saints here?
speed. Like they play fast, and they play fast, meaning like they're out of the huddle
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to go, and they are fast. And so if you let your guard down, you could be looking at an 87-yard touchdown, right? And so that's one thing that they've talked about. And I think a big part of it for them is the mental game of, like, you're coming off a big win. Everyone's telling you how great you are, but true greatness is, can you do it again?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so we'll see. We'll see if they have that in them. But I think Stefon Diggs, I'll say in particular, talked a little bit about how the Saints record, in his view, isn't reflective of the team they are when you think about who they lost to. I believe 3 of the 4 teams have winning records: the Bills, 49ers, Seahawks, if I have it off the top of my
Mm-hmm.
head, and the Cardinals would be the other team. So not taking the Saints slightly, but let's see if that's just words or that's followed up by action.
Definitely looking for a faster start. I think still has been an issue for the Saints, just getting off on the right foot and not having those mistakes early in games. I think will be key in this one, especially for a team coming on the road to just establish themselves early. And like you said, bring that energy as well. So we'll see what the environment is like. I'm thinking it's going to be a little bit better now that we've got this one win in the Dome this past weekend. I really like to see a fun Sunday game and a lot for, everyone to cheer about. It's a good game. Obviously, I want the Saints to win, but we'll see how it plays out, right?
Definitely, Erin. And I will say, you mentioned the fast start. So if you're thinking for a Saints win, here's something to consider. The Patriots have given up opening drive touchdown in 3 of their first 5 games. So they've started slower defensively. Last week, they cleaned it up a little bit, but is that a 1-week sort of correction? Is it longer term? So, and I'm with you. I mean, I think this is going to be, first of all, any game, right? Like, how lucky are we? We're on Sunday
Yeah.
at 12 o'clock local time. We're going to be in there watching NFL football. But I think these 2 teams match up well, and it should be competitive, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, they always talk about the physicality when it comes to a Vrabel team. So I know that will be emphasized as well on both sides. We should have a fun matchup for sure. But thank you so much and look forward to seeing you this weekend.
Thanks, Erin. Thanks. Appreciate it. Great being on with you.
I'm excited now to bring in 2 members of the Louisiana Children's Museum. Beautiful, if you haven't been there, in City Park. It expands a ton of acreage out there, and there's so many different things to do. Part of the 50/50 raffle this year, and we're excited to get to know a little bit more about the organization, what you do, and where the money's going to go, right?
Yeah.
I know. It's exciting. Michael Schmidt, he's here. He's the board chair for the Louisiana Children's Museum, and Tiffany White, CEO. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining me. How are you doing?
Great. Thank you, Erin, for having us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, so let's dive right in. When you found out about the opportunity to get involved with the 50/50, what drew you to it?
The impact that we could make with additional support. I was very, very excited. I shared with Brittany when she called that we were extremely excited to have this opportunity. We know that it's limited and not, many. You can only do a certain number of nonprofits. So we were glad to be one of them.
I think there's so many reasons that the Saints organization sits well with people. I'm a long-time fan, season ticket holder.
There you
Section
go.
116. Shout out to all of them. But in all sincerity, I think everyone's been very reflective of Hurricane Katrina over the last week. The museum and the Saints Foundation, an organization writ large, has really been at the forefront of all of those things. They were part of that pain 20 years ago and part of the rebuilding. The Saints organization, I think, did a wonderful job of bringing the city back, and certainly Mrs. Benson and the late Mr. Benson were a part of that. And the Children's Museum has tried to do their part in its small way. We started in the wake of the World's Fair. So in the warehouse district, that's very popular today, but not very popular back then. And we started for almost 40 years in a building, creating an environment for children. And then we've now moved along to a newer, beautiful campus in City Park. It's almost a $50 million investment that was a public-private partnership with both the state, city officials, and then private donors. And so bringing those things together is very much what the Saints do. And so to be a part of the 50-50 raffle just feels right.
I feel like you've done this before. That was great. You touched on so many different things. Now in City Park, 8.5 acres, established in 1986. So we go back some time, as you mentioned. And now with that footprint, how big it is, how much is there. There's the indoor, outdoor. There's the child development area that includes literacy, environmental education, and STEM. We do a huge event with the STEM Fest every year and really understand the importance of that. So with the proceeds from this raffle, where does that go and how does it continue to benefit what you're already doing?
So it benefits what we're already doing. One of the things that we've been very careful to do is make sure that we're continuing to meet the needs of the community. And so the board has done a great job of going through a process. We called it a reset process, where we developed a new strategic agenda. And out of that strategic agenda, we have some organizational objectives that have come to the top for us. One big one is we're finding that children are aging out of the Children's Museum at 9 or 10. And that is because we don't have a partner organization like a science center that picks them up. And so we have been making some very solid efforts to allow children to continue to grow and learn at the Children's Museum. And so that is for that tween age. We've done summer camps this summer, and also for high school students. So they're coming in as interns and working in the museum and helping younger children to learn and grow. So we feel like supporting children not only in the earliest stages of life, which we know is very important to make sure they get off to the right start, but also continuing to support them as they grow into their teenage years.
And part of that evolving into an older crowd, if you will, very intentional. Like Tiffany said, we were constantly getting feedback from people that said, "Oh, my children loved it when they were younger, but now they're too older." It's also a community. We're building on the community to take children and not have a gap and bring them right into the early tweens and the teens and get to a place where they can spread their wings a little bit. And that's very intentional with the new era of Tiffany White sitting here right today. When we brought her in 2023, it was exactly to do that. So Tiffany comes from a national reputation and very important for us, and a huge win for New Orleans that we were able to get someone as qualified and a person that really has shown her leadership in a very short period of time.
It makes sense to me that you would want to extend what you're offering for a younger age group to, be able to connect with them and develop them further. So I totally get that. And I'm excited that the Saints are able to partner with what you're doing there, and the Saints fans can get involved. They can get something out of it too, because you know how everybody wants to win a little raffle these days, right? Lots of stuff that you can spend it on.
Yeah, well, and I thought about this coming over here. That last beer that you go to buy, you probably don't need. It's going to hurt Monday morning. Just take that $20, put it into the raffle. Your kids will thank you for it. We'll thank you for it. We'll be we'll put that money to work.
I love that. I mean, people definitely know how to have a good time at the Superdome, and we're excited that you guys are going to be a part of this. How can we go visit the museum? What are the hours, ticket prices, anything like that you can share?
So we're actually wrapping up our summer hours. Summer hours were open Tuesday through Sunday, and 9:30 in the morning until 4:30 in the evening for every day except for Sunday, which is 11:30 to 4:30.
Okay.
After Labor Day, which is coming up on Monday, and we are open for Labor Day, we will begin to close on Mondays and Tuesdays for the fall, and then open Wednesday through Sunday, 9:30 in the morning until 4:30 in the evening, and then 11:30 on Sundays until 4:30.
And City Park, as you know, is smack dab in the middle of the city. It's very geographically central. One of the things is, even if you don't have children, we have a beautiful balcony overlooking one of the lagoons and wonderfully old and beautiful live oak trees all over the place. And you can eat at a Dickie Brennan's restaurant. Acorn is there in the museum. They provide all the food for museum events and cater things like weddings and receptions that we have at the museum as well. But it's a great place to go get lunch, get a late breakfast there, and just hang out on the veranda.
Well, sounds like I'm taking a trip soon.
Yes, you definitely need to. The food is amazing. They have great food, all types of food, healthy options, and options that you can splurge a little bit on. They also have opportunities to have a glass of wine, if you want that as well. So there are times when folks will come in and do an early happy hour at Acorn. And so we definitely recommend.
Yeah, it sounds great, all of it. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing a little bit about the Louisiana Children's Museum and how we can donate. I'll give all the information for the 50/50 raffle and get involved there and come visit.
Thanks, Erin.
Thank you.
Lots to look forward to this weekend. And if you want to support the Louisiana Children's Museum by getting you a 50/50 raffle ticket, you can do so at saints5050raffle.com. And don't forget to tune in to the Saints pregame show with Stan Verrett and Scott Shanley Sunday, 11 o'clock on NewOrleansSaints.com. Should be another fun day in the Caesars Superdome, so I hope to see you there, cheering loud in your black and gold.
Thanks for listening to the New Orleans Saints podcast presented by Rouse's Markets. Join us 3 times per week on NewOrleansSaints.com, the Saints mobile app, or you can download the podcast on iTunes. We'll see you next time, right here on the New Orleans Saints podcast, presented by Rouse's Markets.